All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to this week's edition of Fights Unwrapped. Today, I am joined by my co-host Alec Carr, and we're gonna recap UFC 287 because a lot of shit went down, especially during the main card of that fight night. And we are gonna talk about UFC Kansas City and break down that fight card. But before we do that, we're gonna go to Alec Carr and we're gonna talk about our sponsors real quick. So Alec, if you want to do the honors, you can go right ahead.
All right, guys. As always, you know that I say the same thing about this stuff, and I'm going to keep saying it because it works. ArgsHemp.com. They make fantastic CBD and recovery balms, lotions, ointments, all kinds of different stuff. The stuff helps me because I tried to work out and play sports like I did in my early 20s, and I'm in my 30s now. So I'm in a lot of pain all the time. But thanks to RX Hemp, it has come down significantly. So make sure you guys check out rxhemp.com and use promo code rxhemp-usn to get 10% off your entire order. And guys, I can't. I'm not the betting guy. I'll repeat it over and over again. I'm not the one who's making bets, but Monique is making bets. And I know for a fact that she's visiting mybookie.ag today for Holloway versus Allen. And so make sure, guys, you check it out. Visit mybookie.ag today and use promo code USM100 for a 100% sign-up bonus.
Okay, thank you, Alec Carr. So, like I said before, guys, we have to unload what happened during UFC 287. Now, usually Alec Carr is the one that shouts out the prelims, so I'm gonna leave it to him to say what he had to say about the UFC 287 prelims. If he has anything to shout out, any cool finishes, anything like that, Alec Carr, take it away.
Yeah, so we were watching the prelims. You know, everything pretty much happened as we thought it would. A couple of maybe robberies. Cynthia Calvillo probably deserved to win that fight, but I'm okay with that because I picked the Lupita to win the fight. But she probably lost. Calvillo looks like she should have been had the decision on that one. Then we go to the very next fight, Joe Pyfer. My God, Monique, this guy is scary. You could tell right off the bat from this fight, Gerald Meerschaert, GM3, was terrified of Pyfer's power. He came out. Usually GM3 likes to try to apply pressure, and he came out and he was in a shell. From the start of the fight, he was shelled up. He was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't know why the UFC, what this man has done to Dana White. He just keeps being put up against absolute fucking killers. And it happened again. Joe Pyfer did what Joe Pyfer does. And I will say this, the fight was, I think Pyfer was a little shocked by GM3's, hesitation to actually engage in the fight because they just kind of stood and threw feints for about 3 minutes. And then I think it was 3 minutes, 15 seconds. He lands that, I think it was a left hand, and then follows up with another hand and gets the TKO. The middleweight division, who do you think is next for Joe Pyfer, Monique? Do you think he gets a ranked opponent?
Yeah, I think so. GM3, I don't remember, in the rankings what he is, but I think, that finish definitely earns him a position at least in the top 15 within, 10 to 15, that kind of ranking to get a fight, with a fighter like that, with that rank. So, yeah, I definitely think with that kind of finish, he definitely deserves a top 15 opponent. What about you, Alec Carr?
Yeah, I mean, there's I know we probably won't see this happen, but there's Chris Curtis, there's Andre Muniz, there's Brandon Allen, and Nazardine, which those are all good fights for Pyfer. Those are all ones that would really, especially Chris Curtis, would really catapult him, because even though Chris Curtis isn't as good as we hoped he would be, he is a well-known name and a heel in the division. So I think that's a really good fight to make. And I think that we should look out for that fight announcement in the next couple of months, because this guy is an absolute superstar. Power in both hands. I mean, and just like he's Monique, he's huge. So that's really interesting. Then I can't not talk about Michelle Waterson. Going into the last week, I was saying that I will just wish she would kind of retire. She looked fantastic in that fight. I had her winning on my scorecard. I don't know about you, but I think she was the clear victor in this fight. And I just think, we've been talking about it for 2 weeks straight. Judges take fights into their own hands. And now Michelle Waterson, even though she probably won the fight on most people's scorecards, is now set back. So that's just upsetting, because she did so well. She probably won the fight. And, now who knows when or who she's going to fight next, because, she's coming off an L, technically. So it's just, I can't say it enough. This is a continuation of poor judgment that's been happening throughout the year this year. And it's just Dana. I said it when we were talking to Corey, when we had Corey on a little bit ago. Dana White's got to pull us, Adam Silverman, get these judges in a room and tell them that he doesn't know what's going on, but it's got to be fixed, because this is not a good start to the year. Now, this is just an undercard. There's not much to talk about as far as the judges go on the main card, but Waterson was going to make it. Listen, she probably wasn't going to win a championship or anything, but she was making her, and now they've ruined it. So I really hope something happens about this, because if this, goes into next week and the week after and the week after, it's not going to be good for the UFC. Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly thought that Waterson Gomez won the second and the third round. Like, I understand the third round was pretty close. The first round, I'll give it to Pinheiro for winning that first round, because she did, kind of put her all into those shots that we saw in that first round. So that was pretty obvious. And then when Michelle Waterson Gomez got into her groove with the kicks, she really brought that to life. And that's why we love her so much, is because she has all that power in her kicks, and they're really dangerous. And I saw that during the second and the third round, and she even, wrestled her down a little bit, even in the third round. So that was surprising, but in a good way. And so I honestly thought she won. I thought she was going to get the unanimous decision, but, judges be judges nowadays in the UFC. I know. It's just like you said, really disappointing, because, it could have catapulted her into bigger, better opponents. And I would have loved to see her fight someone, eventually in the top 15, and kind of test her skill set in that way. And that's where she was there before, a while ago, a couple of years ago. But, now she pretty much has to digress because of what happened with the judges. So, yeah, that was definitely disappointing. Alikar, are there any other prelims that you want to mention before we jump into the main card?
No. I think we're good. We could talk, about the Gastelum. Sorry, I'm blanking.
That's okay. Chris Curtis, Gastelum.
Yeah, Chris Curtis fight. I don't think there's much. I think it's much to do about nothing there. I don't really care. Some people said Curtis won. I don't really see it. It was too close. It could have gone either way, and if Chris Curtis can't dominate Kelvin Gastelum, then he needs to, find his way out of the UFC because Kelvin sucks. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say Kelvin Gastelum sucks. He's not UFC material. He's not one of these top guys. He's just not a very good high level fighter. Could he be successful in maybe Bellator or PFL? I don't even know. Maybe he could because the middleweight divisions kind of promotion wide are really weak right now in all promotions. So maybe he could, but I don't. I just don't care enough to really talk about this fight at length. Did you have anything to say about that fight?
I was like on the same page with you in terms of I thought that fight was really, really close. Both guys brought it. It was a brawl till the end. It was quite. I thought it was kind of entertaining because that's the type of fighting that I like to see when it comes to middleweight standing up against each other, and at least they were doing something the entire fight, just trading shots the entire time. So who do I thought won? Like you said, too close to tell. It could have gone either way. So I think the judges didn't make a mistake when it came to Kelvin Gastelum winning. Kelvin Gastelum didn't surprise me, but that's not necessarily a good thing, right? Because I already know this is a skill set, and to face someone like Chris Curtis, who's getting up there, but not necessarily the highest caliber in the middleweight division, is not surprising to me that he won against somebody in that level, right? So, no, it wasn't a surprise to me. Kelvin Gastelum does have a chin on him, that's for sure. I'll admit that. But other than that, I think we can probably move on to the main card. And oh my gosh, everybody, we have so much to talk about during this main card. Literally every single fight was a banger, at least to me. I don't know about Alex. Like, what did you think of the main card? I thought it was worth paying the plus tax $75 Canadian, which is not cheap whatsoever. But that fight card, that main card, delivered on every single fight. What did you think, Alex Card?
Yeah, it was a really, really exciting card. I mean, it's a little tainted for me because you know how I feel. I won't get into it until we talk about it, but you know how I feel about the Pereira versus Izzy stuff going on. So we'll get into that when we get to the main event. But I mean, if I take out my bias towards that fight, then yeah, the card was a fucking banger. It was so good right off the bat. I mean, you got Roses versus Rodriguez. Just fucking crazy. I'll let you do the intro into that fight, but that fight is just nuts.
Yeah, so that was a bantamweight fight. If anyone didn't watch it, it was Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez, and a lot of people had the hype for Raul Rosas Jr. because he's only 18 years old. This is literally his second official fight in the UFC, and he's on a pay-per-view main card, which is incredible. Now we won't get into does he deserve to be on the main card? That's a different story. But he pretty much, I don't want to say get exposed in this fight, but the lack of experience was definitely there. And it was definitely evident, especially against Christian Rodriguez, who was so calm and collected throughout the entire fight. He brought his stand-up. He brought his ground game. He brought his BJJ skills. The list goes on and on. He put on a phenomenal performance against pretty much this kid, Raul Rosas Jr., and pretty much told him, like, hey, like, I'm the real deal. This kid has a lot to learn still, and he lacks experience. He was a little bit sloppy in the beginning shooting those takedowns. It was pretty obvious and predictable what he was trying to do, but he did it in a very sloppy fashion, and Rodriguez capitalized on that. Anyways, I digress. Alec Carr, what do you think about this fight?
I bought into the Raul Roses hype train a little bit, probably a little bit too much in hindsight. I'll say this: he looked like an 18-year-old. I mean, that's what happened. I listen. There are people who are trashing Roses right now, who are saying he's not what we thought he was. He's just another Dana, a Dana White privileged fighter, and the kid's 18, guys.
Yeah.
Like he's 18. He has a lot left. He's going to be in the UFC for a very long time. He clearly has the talent. He showed flashes of it. He really did, even though he didn't show many flashes. He did show flashes of talent. Christian Rodriguez, though, I mean, I got to give all the props to him because he's not that old either. He's 25 years old, coming into a fight where the other fighter has all the hype behind him and just shows the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
So prepared, so ready. Roses has never fought somebody that prepared. We'll just say it that way. Like, he's never been against somebody who's actually had professional training like that, who's been prepared for a fight. So that's how I look at this. But, I think people need to be talking more about Christian Rodriguez because that 25 years old to look like that, oh my God. I can't wait to see what's up for him next. A lot of people saying that he should get a ranked opponent next. What do you think about that, Monique?
Well, he did call out one of the fighters, Cameron Samian. I think that's his last name. So, who is 8-0, undefeated. He wants him next. So I say bring it. I think that Christian Rodriguez is a stud, and he showed it again. Now, granted, yes, he did face an 18-year-old, but that 18-year-old has a lot of talent and a lot of fire, with him, a lot of heart as well. He never gave up during that fight, that's for sure. And Christian Rodriguez just knew how to capitalize against him, whether it was standing up, whether it was on the ground. He just knew how to dominate that fight. And I think he has a good chance against someone like Samian. And Samian, sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce it properly, so I apologize to everybody. But I think he deserves to fight up, in talent in the UFC, especially in the bantamweight division, which is such a great division that we have so far.
Stacked.
Sorry?
It's stacked.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's completely stacked, and just from like the bottom to the top rankings, stacked, full of great fighters, full of great talent. So I would love to see him face Cameron next. That would be, what he wants. That'd be what I want. I want him to win. I want him to give Cameron that L because I think he has all the capabilities of doing it. And he was so underrated in this fight, completely overlooked because everybody was just talking about Rosas Jr. You remember when Rosas Jr. came into the stadium? It erupted. It reminded me of Sugar Sean O'Malley, obviously Conor McGregor-esque, right? Paddy the Baddy, same thing. Just like that kind of energy was all on Rosa's side. And then Christian comes out, and then like nobody is like really cheering for him. Nobody really knows who he is. And then afterwards, he made a name for himself after. And like that's just what I love to see in this sport. I don't know about you, Alikar, but that really got me pumped up to see Christian Rodriguez, kind of do what he did,
Yeah, I mean, I was, like I said, I'm in the Roses camp, and I still am. I'm not abandoning him. He's 18. Like I said, he's 18 years old. I think he does have that it factor. I think he has all the talent in the world. He's just got to figure out how to put it together against this top flight talent. But Christian Rodriguez, I mean, I'm in the same camp as you. I don't want him to fight a ranked opponent yet. He's 25. Let's get him a couple of fights under his belt and then go up in the rankings because like you said, the bantamweight division is stacked. One of the few divisions that truly goes 15 deep. Like really does go all 15 deep. All of those guys are scary. So
Yeah.
um, I'd like to see him get a little bit more experience and then fight a guy. And this is what's so funny. So let's just say they jump him up because he's got name recognition now. Who's he gonna go up against? Saeed Nurmagomedov? Like
Yeah.
that's a huge talent difference. So like and the one thing that really stood out to me in this fight, Monique, and you and I, you know, we hammer this point home all the time. Fight IQ, fight IQ, fight IQ, fight
Yeah.
IQ.
Mhm.
Oh my God, is he such a smart fighter? From inside the octagon to his call out. Like he's just a really, really smart fighter. So there's so much ahead of him in his future. I can't wait. It's just going to be difficult once he gets into that ranked area. It's
Yeah.
difficult for anyone right now because they probably actually go, Monique. They probably actually go 16, 17, 18 deep in this division. That's how
Oh yeah.
good it is.
Sure. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited for Christian Rodriguez's future for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for both their futures, but we have to move on, guys. We have to talk about the next fight, which was Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio in the welterweight division. You know, Kevin Holland has kind of went back and forth with both divisions, but I think welterweight suits him personally. I like him in this division, and boy, did I like him in this fight. I picked him to win this fight, and I think you did too, Alikar, if I'm not mistaken. So what happened during the fight was not surprising to me. You know, I wanted Kevin Holland to use his BJJ, but he doesn't usually do that, and I get it. Okay, you want to stand and bang with Santiago Ponzinibbio, fine. You are more than capable of doing that. I just biasly wanted him to show off his BJJ skills. You know, both of them are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, for crying out loud. So maybe he had, you know, a strategic move for not doing his BJJ in this fight. And so Ponzinibbio got caught in the third round by a really great punch by Kevin Holland, and I could watch that replay all day long. I don't know about you, Alikar, but that was clutch for me when I saw that from Kevin Holland. So what did you think about the fight? Did anything surprise you, you know?
I mean, no, it's Kevin Holland doing Kevin Holland things. Like, listen, I love Santiago Ponzinibbio. Like he's could have been. He's one of the biggest what ifs in UFC history because he was on a run and a tear, and then he got hurt for like 3 years straight. So he really is one of the biggest what ifs in UFC history. Kevin Holland just did what Kevin Holland does. If you stand with Kevin Holland, you are putting yourself at risk. What shocked me was after the fight, we learned he had a broken hand. So
Yeah.
he did that with one hand. And it was classic Kevin Holland. The punch came out of nowhere. It came in so fast, and it was over. Like it was just a classic Kevin Holland victory. I know people hate him, but when he wins, man, Monique, it is so entertaining and so good for the UFC, to be honest with you. So I hope he stays at the welterweight division too. I hope he doesn't jump around again. Like, this is your home, man. Make it your home. Kevin Holland, you're never gonna be a champion, and I just want him to embrace that. But he'll always have a place in the UFC because he's always gonna put on entertaining fights, and he'll always be a threat for a victory. Because of the power that he has. So the future for Kevin Holland, I don't know what it holds, to be honest with you, Monique. But I do hope he stays in this division, doesn't keep jumping around.
That's for sure. Okay, let us move on to the next fight, which, oh my gosh, I know Alikar has to turn out the lights and make everything brighter because I have this light on the background and this light shining in front of me. So you gotta bring it, right, Alikar? So anyways, point is this next fight Oh my gosh, I was out of my seat for this fight because everybody, well, okay, I shouldn't say everybody, but 95% of MMA Twitter, including myself, including Alec Carr, we were on the Adrian Yanez train. And for good reason, because he's a very well-rounded fighter. He's coming up, and this was his biggest test to date. Holy shit, did Rob Font ever show up? Did his boxing ever held up to the test of time? Now, a lot of people would argue, yes, Adrian Yanez made a mistake during that fight. He even admitted so himself. Fine. But Rob Font just looked incredible. He was getting hit himself. He had like a black eye, I think, underneath his left eye as well. So Adrian Yanez gave him a lot of shots to, pretty much digest in the face. But at the same time, Rob Font came out swinging. He chased him down. He literally, oh my gosh, the combinations he put, amazing. I have no words, Alec Carr. I have no words for this fight because this might have been my favorite fight of the night. I'm not going to lie, because I love the both of them. And I always said, even though I was on other shows, all my friends' shows, I said, I love Rob Font. I love Adrian Yanez. I didn't want any of them to lose, but somebody had to. And it was Adrian Yanez that fight. He made a mistake. A lot of people said, okay, fine. Maybe he was yelling at his coaches. No, he was yelling at himself because he realized he made a mistake during that fight. And then Rob Font capitalized. And I'm just so excited for him at this point. Like, will he be championship caliber? I don't know. I'm not going to say anything about that. But I think his boxing is just so underrated because a lot of people think about Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar. Rob Font is up there. Rob Font trains with Calvin Kattar as well. So just everybody needs to recognize who Rob Font is and that he's back in the game, and especially in this bantamweight division. So anyway, sorry, Alec Carr. I probably just did a whole Monique's rant of the week there, but I'm honestly so pumped when I talk about this fight. So I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the fight? Did it really surprise you? What parts of it did? What parts didn't? Tell me your thoughts.
I mean, I wasn't that surprised by it. I picked Adrian Yanez, and I'm still in his camp too. I think he's an incredible fighter. I think he's going to bounce back from this and learn from this because he did make a mistake. And a lot of people who aren't giving Rob Font credit, I have one thing to say to you, who are calling Rob Font lucky. Luck is where skill meets opportunity. So, and that's what Rob Font did. He saw the opening, he took the opening. You have to be skilled in order to see that and take it. So, and Rob Font was putting together crazy combos. Again, like the Kevin Holland fight, this was Rob Font just doing Rob Font things. And last week, I tried to warn everybody, even though I picked Yanez too, I tried to warn everybody, watch out for Rob Font. This is not a walkover fight for Yanez. This is not a gimme fight for Yanez. This is a true test of talent for Yanez. Because Rob Font, I know he lost. I know he lost to Cheeto. I know he lost to Jose Aldo. But Rob Font can put, when he's on point and he's throwing that jab and he gets confident behind that jab, man, is he scary. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not shocked at all. I said Rob Font is an incredible fighter. He's always going to be in that top 5 to 10, probably until the end of his career when he decides to retire. I don't think he's a championship caliber fighter in this division, just because, like we said, it's absolutely stacked. But the fact that Rob Font is 6th in this division tells you how many good bantamweights there are right now. For real, he's 6. He's 6. That just blows my mind. So, awesome fight. I mean, I was out of my seat. I was going crazy when it happened. And you saw it coming because he did that Rob Font thing where he starts putting that jab out there, Then he starts putting the combos together, and then he starts putting 2 pieces together, 3 pieces together, and once he starts putting 2 pieces together, it's usually a wrap because you know what's coming after that. He's just gonna start putting together crazy combos. And man, I did not think that fight was gonna end that quickly at all. But man, he really put it on, like you said. I have really no other comments other than Rob Font is a beast. Adrian Yanez is a beast. The division is filled with monsters. I need a ranked fight, bantamweight fight on every PPV for the rest of the year, Monique, because they are that good. Like, you got Ricky Simone at 10. Pedro Munez is 9th. Yadon Song is 8th. Umar Nurmagomedov is 11th. Like, this division is crazy. So I'm so excited to see what happens with the entire division. Dana, please give me a bantamweight fight on every PPV for the rest of the year.
For sure. And congratulations to Rob Font. Not only did he win Performance of the Night, which is $50K, he also is a new father to his daughter, Emerald. So anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. So congratulations to Rob Font on both accounts. Now, I gotta say, the whole co-main event, the welterweight division, between Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal was probably the most predictable fight I've ever witnessed. The most predictable fight. Did we say that Gilbert Burns was going to shoot the takedown? Yes, we did. Did we say that he was going to try some BJJ on him? He did. He tried to. Masvidal defended somewhat, okay? But he kept getting hit, and he kept getting taken down. And he didn't really do much, when it came to the entire fight, in my opinion. He kind of just said, oh, come at me. Okay, you got hit again? Come at me some more. That was literally the entire fight. And he got taken down, and he got hit a few times. And so I don't really have much to say about this fight. Alec Carr, it's literally, like I said, and I'm going to repeat myself, the most predictable fight that happened on this card. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, it was exactly how we broke it down. It was exactly how everyone broke it down, except for the Jorge fanboys. I mean, like, the one benefit of this fight, and listen, I don't need to go on the rant again about Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns and how this fight was ridiculous to begin with, that it should have never been made because Jorge Masvidal may be the most overrated fighter of all time. But, like, we all knew what was going to happen except for the casual fan and the Jorge Masvidal fanboys. The one benefit of this fight is that the Jorge Masvidal fans are gone because he's retired.
Yeah.
So, and how I feel about Colby Covington.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to bring up something because when you make a good point, you make a good point, whether I like you or not. He said Jorge Masvidal was retired before that fight. He also said it was because of him and all this other bullshit. But just the little snippet of his entire rant of Jorge Masvidal was retired before this fight, we talked about it last week. He was talking about retiring after the fight.
Yeah.
He had already made up his mind he was done. He knew he didn't stand a chance to win. So, and honestly, like, why? He's so addicted to that knee since the Askren fight. Yeah. It is so dumb, and he's so bad at throwing it. Yeah. Like, it's so telegraphed. I'm just watching the fight. He must have thrown 5 or 6 of them. And every time I was like, here comes the knee. It's coming. He's taking a step back. Knee's coming up. It didn't land. Who would have thought? Like, anyway, I'm just glad the Jorge era, modern era, because the guy is not in his prime, even though Joe Rogan and some other morons think he is.
Yeah.
Jorge Masvidal's prime was about 10 years ago, guys. He even said it. I've been fighting professionally for 20 years. Like he was fighting. He was coming up when GSP was coming up. That's how long ago it was. So yeah, thank God that this era of Jorge Masvidal is done. I hope he doesn't try to go to Bellator. Let him do his little game bred fights that he has, his boxing fights that are absolutely ridiculous because the UFC actually pays for them. And the UFC promotes them and the UFC markets them. And I don't know this for sure, but if I had to guess, the UFC probably has minority ownership in game bred fights. So let him go and do that thing and just disappear.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that fight was over. That was probably the least exciting fight of the card. And that says a lot, right? Because you would think that welterweights would take precedence when it comes to one of the most exciting fights. Speaking of exciting moments in fights, though, we gotta talk about what happened during the main event. And I know Alec Carr isn't the biggest fan of this main event, nor is he the biggest fan of some of the fighters in this main event. But we gotta talk about it because Israel Adesanya got his belt back. And he did it in stylistic fashion. He was actually, backed up against the cage. He was getting, punches thrown at him, but he was blocking them from Alex Pereira. But Alex Pereira did this weird thing, and a lot of people on MMA Twitter are bringing it up. Why did he go for 2 left hooks? Now, I'm going to ask you, Alec Carr, because you like your striking and your boxing. You break it down pretty well, so I like when you do that. Why did he go for 2 left hooks? Because that was the mistake, and Izzy capitalized on it.
Monique, Izzy was setting up that. He was brilliant. Listen, I know he was losing the fight, but he was brilliant in this fight. He looked like vintage Izzy. He looked like Izzy before he got lazy. Yeah. Izzy before point fight. Like vintage Izzy here. I mean, we've always talked about Israel Adesanya, and I had the audacity to question his fight IQ last week, and I know maybe you listen to this down the road when both Monique and I and Dustin are famous and televised and all this other stuff. We hope is coming soon, but I apologize for questioning that fight IQ. He knew. He set up this shot from the very first second of the fight. He did. He got Alex Pereira to throw the left more often. He did. That's what he did. He got him set up. He took the leg kicks, which was I was like, dude, why are we going down this road again? Why aren't you checking these? What are you doing? There's no threat for takedown, so you could check these leg kicks. It's not like he's going to feint a leg kick and shoot the takedown. That's not what Pereira does. So why are you taking them? And he was really setting up that for Pereira to lead with that lead leg. I know it was a knee this time that started the initiation on a leg kick, but he was looking for him to lead with that leg and drop his left hand. That's what he wanted. It was clear from the beginning of the fight. I've watched this fight about 10 times now. And I think what MMA Twitter is suffering from is over analysis of the fight. We can break it down, and I think it's because everyone fell in love with Alex Pereira, except for me, apparently. And they were trying to figure out why this happened, what happened. Like Izzy didn't do it was almost like people were looking for excuses to why Izzy won the fight. And when you go looking for excuses, as well as I do, you're going to find them. Pereira pressured when he shouldn't have. He made a mistake. Izzy was not rocked. He connected strong, but Izzy was not rocked. He was not almost out, and Pereira rushed in. And when Pereira rushed in, he opened up and he started throwing, and he landed that beautiful fucking knee, by the way. Oh my God. That knee was incredible. Right. And Izzy put up the hand to block it, but it didn't matter because Pereira is so good with his striking. He went right around the hand and landed right on the ear. It was insane, that knee. But then he followed up. I think it was he threw the left, and then he came down with his right. Or no, he threw the right, came down with his left, threw the left, and then went to go throw left again. And Izzy, like that, he knew the 1-2 was there, the jab overhand, and he threw it, and it connected clean.
Mm-hmm.
Pereira had all of his weight going forward into the punch because he was rushing in. It was Izzy just, it was the fact that people are trying to discredit Izzy's technique in this is fucking ridiculous. Pereira himself said, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but things happened during the fight, and the left was there all fight. I know it was only 2 rounds, but the left was there. Izzy left the left open. He did it because Pereira gets left happy when you do that.
Yeah.
And he knew it would happen, and he came over with the counter overhand, and he knocked him out. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I don't like either of these fighters. I got excited during this fight, though. I'll admit it, Monique. I got super pumped because it was like Izzy being Izzy again.
Yeah.
The stuff afterwards, I don't know what that was all about. Well, I know what it was all about, but I don't know why he felt he had to do that. I don't mind the bow and arrow thing afterwards. I mean, Pereira's been very cocky in his victories against Adesanya, so I don't mind that. The thing with his kid, part of me, I was listening to Henry Cejudo. By the way, guys, if you want to see the greatest fight breakdown, the greatest fight analyst and the best person to break down fights after they happen, watch Henry Cejudo break down fights. It is ridiculous. Yeah. But I was listening to his breakdown of this fight, and Cejudo was kind of like, I wouldn't do anything like that, but I gotta be honest. Part of me thought it was cringy, and the other part of me thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I kind of, listen, he shouldn't be taunting a kid. I get that, and I'm not condoning that. But at the same time, Pereira was okay with it. He wasn't upset. He's still not upset. He said he wouldn't have done it, but he actually even, kind of implied that he thought it was pretty funny after he watched it. So I don't like it. I don't like that he did it. But I think people need to be a little honest with themselves. I think a lot of the criticism he's getting for that is because people are just insecure that part of them thought it was a little funny. So, what happens next? That's the question for this division, and that's the question we have to spend some time on, Monique. So I'll shoot it back to you. What happens next for Pereira? What happens next for Izzy? And what happens next for this division?
Yeah, okay. What's it called? For some reason, it was crackling a little bit when you were speaking. I'm not sure if you caught that, but right now it's not doing that. I'm not sure if it does that on your end, but we're going to watch out for that. Don't worry, guys. So I think what's going to happen is that Alex Pereira should go up in division. That's what I think should happen. I think a lot of people are predicting that to happen. And I think that Israel Adesanya, fine. We have Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev, rumored to be in October in Abu Dhabi. That fight...
Monique, real quick, why is it in October? Why do we have to wait this long?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. That's crazy, right? So... Yeah, so it's okay. No worries, man. Let's go. Alec Carr, can you do me a favor and just go in and out of the stream? I'll add you back on just so I can see what the audio is like, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let me just add Alec right back in, and hopefully the audio will be better. And so we're talking about what's happening, after the whole Israel Adesanya Alex Pereira fight. What I think is going to happen is that Israel Adesanya is going to stay in that division. Say something, Alec Carr.
Oh, hello?
Yeah, it's better. It's way better. Okay, perfect. So I was just saying, I think Israel Adesanya is gonna stay in that division. It would be funny if they both moved up in division because then they could face each other again, potentially in the future. But I think that Israel's gonna stay in that division. I think that what's gonna happen is Alex is gonna go up, and then we're gonna see what happens. With Paulo Costa, Khamzat Chimaev. Then we're gonna see what happens with Robert Whitaker because he's waiting for a fight. He's still waiting for a fight, So I don't know what's gonna happen with him either. That whole division is kind of up in the air after this whole fight, that just happened and transpired in the weekend. So, Alec Carr, what do you think is gonna happen between these two fighters?
So what I think is going to happen and what I want to happen is totally different. And I can't believe I'm saying this. The trilogy has to happen, in my opinion. I don't think it will, but it has to happen. Because I've been very vocal. I don't think Pereira wants to move up. No, I don't think he wants to fight anybody else but Izzy. Maybe this fight changed his mind. But I still get the feeling that he just wants to fight Izzy. Again, Henry Cejudo and some other people have said the same thing of kickboxing is a different sport, guys. It's a different sport. Listen, he's 3-1 against him in kickboxing. He's 1-1 against him in MMA. So I think the trilogy needs to happen. And the main reason I think the trilogy needs to happen is not because I want to see it again.
Yeah.
It's because Khamzat Chimaev has to fight someone before he gets the title. And I'm going to say something, and I can't believe I'm saying this. It actually, pains me. It hurts my heart, Monique, to say what I'm about to say. I don't believe Robert Whitaker didn't get a fight offer for Khamzat. Whitaker said that last week.
Yeah.
I don't believe him. And it pains me to say that because I love Robert Whitaker. He is class personified. But I think Khamzat Chimaev is such a scary fighter to all these other guys.
Yeah.
He weighs almost as much as Pereira right now.
Yeah.
Like the guy's huge. He'll be a big middleweight even when he goes up. He'll be a heavy middleweight. If people want to call it weight bullying, if Khamzat didn't weight bully, he'd be fighting at a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
That's how big he is. So that pains me to say, but I think he got offered Khamzat and turned it down. So the Costa Khamzat fight has to happen. So they need to make the trilogy happen so that whoever the winner is fights Khamzat. So that's what I think. What I think is probably going to happen. So let's say Pereira moves up, right? I think the fight to make it is against Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah.
I think that's the fight to make. It's a huge test for Pereira. And I've been getting destroyed on Twitter with my comments because I was getting tired yesterday and today of seeing people say, if Alex Pereira goes up to light heavyweight, he's going to walk through the entire division in less than a year and be champ. I was like, okay, listen, light heavyweight division's not the strongest. I'll be the first to say that. But you got Jan, Magomed, Yuri, and Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all really good fighters. Yeah. And people are like, well, Pereira has power. He's so powerful. And I'll just say this again. You have Jan. You have Jan, Magomed, Yuri, and Hill. All guys with power. With just as much power as him. Mm-hmm. The biggest issue is all of those guys where, Jan's not known for wrestling. Neither is Yuri, but both of them can do it at a more than decent level.
Mm-hmm.
Pereira has zero takedown defense. I don't care if he's been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 6 months. That does not prepare you to fight against a guy who's been training takedown defense and offense for their entire life.
Yeah.
It doesn't get you ready for that. It won't. I mean, we saw it in the first Izzy fight. Izzy was able to take him down. If Izzy can take him down, what do you think Jan, Yuri, and Magomed are going to do against him?
Yeah.
Especially Magomed.
Yeah.
Like Magomed will just fucking lay on him.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, if they stand up with them, and I interrupt them when they say that because they're not going to stand up with them. Why would you stand up with Pereira?
Yeah.
What? If you have the ability, the only reason Izzy stands up with Pereira is because Izzy sucks at taking people down.
Yeah.
So that's, listen, I think it's a bad decision for Pereira to move up. I really do, because part of me wants him to, because I want him to be exposed, because all of the Pereira fans are still saying he's one of the greatest fighters in the UFC, and he's just not. He's not. He got gifted and fast-tracked against opponents. We're talking about, what opponent are you going to turn back to and be like, oh, high-level MMA?
Yeah.
Sean Strickland? Bruno Silva, who's not even in the UFC anymore? Like, come on, guys. What are we talking about here? And I'll just end it with this. Alex Pereira, I'll give him credit. He is a very classy person.
Yeah.
He wins and loses with respect. And he earned a lot of my respect in that way. The way he reacted to the loss to Izzy, I at least respect him a little bit more than I did before.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just not an MMA fighter, guys. He's just not. He can't defend against the takedown. I don't care how much BJJ he's doing with Glover Teixeira. I don't give a shit. He would have to do it for 5 years straight. He's also 35 years old. He's been fighting for a very long time, too. So his 35, his fight age is probably around 40. Yeah. I think he has 1 to 2 more fights in him, Monique. Yeah. So I think it would be foolish not to run this back a third time.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you. And I honestly think that the reason why there are so many Alex Pereira fans is because there's a lot of Izzy Adesanya haters. That's the reason why. And it's pretty obvious. And that's not just with this fight between these two fighters. It's with every single big rivalry out there, that has happened. If you're not a GSP fan, it's because you're a Matt Serra fan. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like one of those kind of things.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I will say this, though. Khamzat Chimaev's coming for the middleweight division. He's coming. And guess what? After he gets that belt, he's probably going to go back down the welterweight and destroy the welterweight division. And guess what? After that, he might try his hand in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah.
I see him kind of doing what Conor did. I don't think he'll defend belts. I think he's just going to collect them. So I'm excited for that.
For sure, for sure. Anyways, guys, that was our recap of UFC 287. But it doesn't end there, guys. We have a fight card to talk about, which is UFC Kansas City. And so I know Alucard is not the biggest fan of this fight card. I like some moments in this fight card, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit.
I'm real happy with the main event. Real happy.
I mean, that's literally the highlight. If anybody who says, like, what is the highlight of this fight card, it's honestly the main event. It centers around this main event. So, anyways, point is that in the prelims, we have to obviously give out some mentions. If not just one mention, maybe two, right? Alucard, you are the man when it comes to sharing your prelim mentions, so I'll give it to you because I think I know what they are anyways. What are your prelim mentions for UFC Kansas City?
Yeah, I'm not going to start with the obvious one, guys. I'm going to start with Para Rodriguez, 9-0, going against Jillian Robertson. This Rodriguez is an absolute stud. She's an incredible fighter. And the strawweight division has to look out for her. I know she's 30 years old, but she's never lost. Her decision win against Hansen and Sam Hughes were absolutely phenomenal. Her win in the Contender Series was absolutely phenomenal. She's an incredible fighter, so you guys need to watch that fight. Then the obvious one, Brandon Royval is somehow on the prelims. One of the top-ranked flyweight fighters is on the prelims because little guys get no love. And I take offense to that as a known little guy. So Brandon Royval should absolutely be on the main card. I think this is not an easy fight for him. Mateus is really good himself. This fight has so many ramifications for the division. I think Brandon Royval, we've seen him get better and better and better since he's entered the UFC. So, and his ground game is unreal. So I think he takes that fight. It's going to probably be unanimous decision. And then I just got to give a shout out to Bill Lego. He's a local guy to me. I literally drive past his gym pretty often. He's located in King of Prussia. Since I've moved now, I am literally 5 minutes away from his gym. So I'm going to be rooting for him. He's one of those guys that just kind of sticks around. But he always, and the other reason I'm pointing him out, other than my local bias, is he always puts on an entertaining fight. Always. So guys, make sure you watch out for those fights in particular on the prelim.
That's for sure. I definitely got to shout out Brandon Royval because I think he is, I made a note on MMA Twitter, he is my favorite flyweight right now. I obviously, yes, of course, shout outs to Moreno, shout outs to Figgy, obviously, shout outs to Pantoja. I love them all as well, but Brandon Royval, just like his style, the fact that he is so good at BJJ, obviously, I'm a little bit biased towards that. I think what's going to happen is that Matheus Nicolau is actually really good at countering. He hits relatively hard. He can knock you down. And I think that Royval is going to see that coming. He's going to pressure forward. He's going to be the one to take him down. And then with the BJJ skills, I think he's going to outclass him with all that. I personally do think he's going to win. But like Alec Carr said, not an easy fight. Nicolau is very calculated. He moves really well in the octagon. Yeah.
Money gets 4 versus 5. Why is Clay Guida versus Rafa Garcia on the main card? What are we talking about here?
Guida. You know that. You have to cater to the Clay Guida fans, because why not? He's a veteran, and a lot of people, think he's beloved. So that's the reason why. Anyways, point is that those are our prelims for UFC Kansas City. Now we're going to talk about the main card, which we did just talk about one of the fights. First one is Clay Guida versus Rafa Garcia, and let me see. It's a lightweight bout, okay? So everybody take notice of that. Okay, Alec Carr, really simple question. Who do you think's going to win this fight?
Rafa.
And why do you think he's going to win this fight?
He's fighting Clay Guida. No, in all seriousness, I will give you a little bit of breakdown. I'm just angry this fight is not headlining. Let it headline the prelim. It doesn't need to be the first fight on the main event. Rafa Rafa the Gifted is a gifted fighter. He's 28 years old. I know he's had some up and downs in the UFC, but the reason I was shaking my head is this fight means absolutely nothing to the lightweight division. Rafa is a good fighter, but he's never going to be in the top 5. Probably never in the top 10 even. As we all know, the lightweight division is incredible and has been for a long time and will be for a long time because of all the young fighters coming up. Rafa is just not good enough as those other young fighters. So this is like a big nothing burger fight for me, and that's why I'm upset it's on the main card. Clay Guida, we're talking about a guy that, Monique, his record is 38-22.
Yeah.
Like, that's forget that it's 38-22, which is a whole different discussion. In combat sports, 38-22 means you're professionally like
Yeah.
you're okay. Clay Guida's been professionally okay for a long time. So it's just like 41 years old. I thought we'd seen the last of him but then he beat Scott Holtzman, and now we're forced to give him another fight.
Yeah.
So Rafa, I'm begging you, for Clay Guida's own good, beat him. For his own good, beat him so he's forced to retire.
Yeah, I definitely think Rafa's gonna win, and it's nothing against Clay Guida. I just think that Rafa the Gifted has some incredible wins. Some are decision, but my favorite wins of his are his subs. You know, he has rear naked chokes, arm bars, heel hooks. I want to see a sub in this fight. I want to see it real bad, and I definitely want to see it against Clay Guida. No offense to Clay Guida. I just, me and my grappling Alikar. So I definitely want to see that happen. But we are going to shift gears and move up to the next fight, which is Chris Gutierrez versus Pedro Munoz. And that's a bantamweight bout. So I'm going to go first and talk about this fight. I think Chris Gutierrez, his name is El Guapo, by the way. His nickname is El Guapo, is on a 7-fight win streak right now. Has some decision wins. He has those spinning elbows and back fists. Those leg kicks are dangerous. His subs, rear naked chokes, KOs, decision wins. I think he's going to win this one by decision. Now, a lot of people might think, oh, he has the ability to finish this fight. I think so too, but I think that Pedro Munoz is pretty tough. Maybe not as tough as some of his other fights, but I think he has a chin that will hold up. And I think that Chris Gutierrez gets it done by decision. What do you think, Alikar?
I agree with you. Pedro Munoz has a chin on him. He's an incredible fighter. He's on a downturn of his career. I think that's pretty obvious. And Chris Gutierrez, El Guapo, is just, and we just talked about how good this division is. And This is the one fight, other than the main event, I'm super excited about, because Gutierrez puts on a show every time he's in the octagon. And I think he's going to do so. He throws those, like you alluded to, he throws those crazy strikes. They also just come out of fucking nowhere when he throws them. They're not telegraphed at all, and they just come out of left field. I think he wins this fight, but I think Pedro Munoz is just a tough son of a bitch. So I don't think he'll be able to put him out. Would it surprise me if Gutierrez wins by knockout? Absolutely not, but I don't think it happens. I think we see a unanimous decision and an overwhelming victory for Chris Gutierrez here.
Okay, let's shift gears again and talk about one of the heavier divisions, light heavyweight division. Not excited for this fight. Now, I have nothing against heavier weight divisions. It's just that, man, if it goes past like the second round, it starts to slow down like a lot, because a lot of fighters in the heavyweight division, they gas out. Not everybody, but some of them do. And so this division, this fight between Tanner Boser and Ion Cutelaba is not a fight that I'm looking forward to. I get why it's on the main card. A lot of people have a lot of respect for heavyweight fighters or heavier weight fighters. And usually, Alikar, I will tend to side with my Canadian brothers and sisters. Speaking of which, UFC 289 is in Vancouver, Canada, and I am going to that event, so I'm super excited. I'm hoping they put on more, fights there that are more, high-level fighters. Anyways, point is that Tanner Boser, I'm sorry, I usually would pick you in this fight, and a lot of people did pick him in this fight. I don't know why I'm leaning towards Ion Cutelaba. Maybe it's his resume that's speaking to me. He is the Hulk for the reason. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, unfortunately, but those losing streak, losses are to Walker, Spann, and Ankalaev. So, obviously some of the great things about him is that he has incredible punches, dangerous elbows, and I think he might get the decision win. I don't want it to go to decision because, like I said, they slow down during the third round, especially, or even halfway throughout the second round. So I'm hoping there'll be a finish, but I don't think that's going to happen against Tanner Boser, So I think that Ion Cutelaba gets this to the decision win, and it won't be an exciting fight. Alec Carr, what do you think about this fight?
I agree with you. I don't know how Tanner Boser is coming down to light heavyweight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he's a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to lose a lot of weight for this fight because he was even a bigger heavyweight. I know it was a lot of, like, I'm not trying to be mean here. I know it was a lot of fat, but though fat is always easier to lose when you have that. It's not like, if Izzy ever tried to go down a welter, that would be almost impossible because he's already so lean and skinny.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, I just don't think I don't think he'll be able to keep up with the speed of the fight. I don't think he'll be able to keep up with, like, the stamina. Like, heavyweight stamina versus light heavyweight stamina is totally different.
Yeah.
So it's an odd fight for me. Ion Cutelaba, if you lose this, man, you're out of the UFC. That's how I feel. Because Tanner Boser is not, even in the light heavyweight division, which is far weaker than the heavyweight division. Let's just say he wins this fight. He's not beating anybody else in this division. So Ion Cutelaba, you better win this fight. You better win.
Yeah, the Hulk better come out in this fight. But let's just go into a fight that's a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. It is a light heavyweight fight as well. Oh my goodness, guys. This fight just got way more interesting after the last fight because we have Murzanikov is going against Dustin Jacoby, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's his name. So, Murzanikov is 12-0. Now, obviously, the resume is not there in terms of UFC caliber fighters. Jacoby has that resume. But I don't know what it is, Alec Carr. Maybe it's the fact that he's so well-rounded, Murzanikov. His name is funny because it's Asmat. It rhymes with Kazmat. So I thought that was hilarious. But it's just the fact that he's so well-rounded and his subs. I mean, he loves that arm triangle. He has punches. He can KO someone. He has that ground and pound. He has a flying knee. And I think, and I hope he gets the sub victory in this fight. Now, probably not because it's against Jacoby, but you never know. I'm just a little biased because I love my grappling. So I'm hoping that Asmat gets the victory in this fight. What do you think about this fight, Alec Carr?
Yeah, I mean, Asmat, for those who don't remember, Asmat was the guy who shockingly beat Tafon Chukwi. No, not a lot of people saw that coming. Chukwi was being billed as the next great African fighter. And when he came out, he dominated that fight and ended up winning in round 3 with the flying knee.
Yeah.
This guy, like, Asmat, like, I'm really interested in this fight. Listen, I'm not a big believer in Dustin Jacoby. I'm just not. I know he's a good fighter, but I don't think he's ever going to be elite. Mm-hmm. Asmat, on the other hand, he keeps showing, he hasn't fought. The 2 fights in the UFC haven't been against really Chukwi. We've discovered has a lot of learning to do before he's ever going to be taken seriously. But beating Devin Clark, like, neither of those victories are like, they're both names in the UFC. They're both solid fighters, so it's not like he was fighting unknowns. Asmat he could cause some serious problems in the lightweight division and really mess up a lot of people's plans in this division.
Light heavyweight division.
Light heavyweight. Sorry. Sorry, you're right. I forgot the heavy part. The light heavyweight division. Thank you for correcting me.
No
He could
worries.
cause a lot of problems and mess up a lot of people's plans for this division. And it's exciting because this is a division that needs talent like him to come in and save it. So I expect after he beats Dustin Jacoby to be kind of fast tracked to the top.
Yeah.
So I listen, I think he wins. I don't know how he wins because he could literally win by knockout, Monique. He could win by submission, or he could just win in a dominant decision. If I had to guess, I'm not going to play it safe here. I think we see a submission against Jacoby. I think that's how we're going to see it play out here.
Okay, guys. So, the next fight is the co-main event of this fight night. And I'm going to warn you guys. I try my best, my very hardest, not to be biased towards picking the fighters that I pick. But oh my God, is it really hard on a fight like this one to not be biased, okay? So we have a featherweight bout. Edson Jr. Barbosa versus Billy Quarantillo, okay? So this is where my bias comes in. Because anybody that knows me knows I've been a Edson Barbosa fan for as long as I can breathe. Okay, so that's literally why this is really hard for me to pick, because I love Edson Barbosa so much. I think his resume speaks for itself. I think that he obviously has decision wins before, right hook that was very dangerous, body punches, and those leg kicks. Watch out for those, obviously. Anybody who watches an Edson Barbosa fight knows those leg kicks are money for him. I think, and I hope, he gets it done by decision. But here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Q shows up Edson Barbosa. So, Alucard, like I said, I warned everyone, this is a very, very biased pick for me. This is coming from the heart, right? My head, I'm not listening to my head right now. This is all about my heart, okay? And my heart wants Edson Barbosa to win. Do I actually believe that's going to happen? Somewhat. I'm not going to say. But I want to hear your thoughts because I need a voice of reason right now.
So I'm going to make you really sad.
It's okay, man. You're not the only person that's going to make me sad when it comes to this fight, okay?
And you know how much I love and respect Edson Barbosa. I just think his career is over.
Yeah.
He lost to Giga Chikadze, which, by the way, where the fuck is Giga? It's like where in the world is Carmen Santiago? Right now is Giga Chikadze. Where is he?
Yeah.
Guy has one loss, all of a sudden he disappears. Anyway, and coming off a loss against Bryce Mitchell, that loss is not aging well. Bryce Mitchell appears to be a lot of hype and not a whole lot of actual talent behind it. So I have to, and it pains me to say this. First of all, this should not be the co-main. There's no way that this fight should be the co-main. I think it's out of respect for Edson Barbosa. It could very well be his last fight. I think Billy Q's going to win. I do.
Yeah.
Just because, again, if we're going prime versus prime, Edson Barbosa, I think, destroys Billy Q. Like, to be quite honest, I think prime Barbosa kills Billy Q. Like, real quick. Knockout with a right head kick. Like real quick. But at this point in his career, I just don't think he can get it done. He has taken a noticeable step back. His speed's just not there. His reaction time's not there. I mean, he used to throw off that leg kick as a counter, and it would just I forget who it was, but they compared it to being hit in the leg with an aluminum baseball bat.
Yeah.
like he just, it's still, don't get me wrong, it's still really dangerous. And if he lands a couple of leg kicks in a row against Billy Q, I could be proven wrong, because if he compromises that lead leg, he's in for a long night. But I think Billy Q gets it done. I think we see a decision victory out of him.
Yeah, see, like, a lot of people are saying that, and I'm not surprised. I'm just such a huge fan of Edson Barbosa that it just pains me to ever, bet against him. So that's what it is. Now, moving on to the main event of the evening for Saturday night, fans everywhere, especially in UFC Kansas City, we have Max Bless Holloway against Arnold Allen. So this is now going to be really hard for the both of us, because the both of us love these two fighters, right? When it comes to Max Holloway, he has my heart. He has always had my heart. Even against Brian Ortega, who is a submission specialist, Max Holloway has always had my vote when it came to who I actually thought was going to win this fight, who I actually thought was going to retain the title. I love Max Holloway. I love his style. I love his humor. I love the fact that he calls out people the way that he does. I love everything about him. And I do like him in this fight, but my head is saying Arnold Allen is going to win. Arnold Allen is more well-rounded. Arnold Allen can stand with Max. He can hit harder. And that's honestly the reason why I think it probably will go to decision, because Max has a chin on him. And so I know he can withstand a lot of punches. And so Arnold Allen, I think, is going to win this fight. But at the same time, a lot of people are saying, oh, that last fight against Dan Hooker, what the hell was Arnold Allen doing? A lot of people are referencing that fight. A lot of people are Max fans. I get it. I'm a Max fan too. But, man, it's the battle between my heart and my head. So I got to go with my head sometimes, especially when it comes to betting on a fighter. So, Alec Carr, I know it pains you as well for this fight, because we both love Max Holloway and Arnold Allen, respectively. But who do you think is going to win this featherweight bout? This is huge. This is huge for both of them.
This is also a huge fight. Like, this to me, this should have been the real interim fight. If they were going to do one, this should have been the interim championship fight. These are the two clear-cut actual contenders, top contenders in the division, are Arnold Allen and Max Holloway. Yair Rodriguez would get smoked by Arnold Allen. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. I know Rodriguez has power too, but Arnold Allen is so well-rounded. And the fact that people are bringing up the Dan Hooker fight. He had Dan Hooker rocked. Of course he opened up. He had him rocked. He was trying to finish the fight. Like, he had Dan Hooker on the ropes, and you're bringing up that one clip of Arnold Allen? I have something to say to them. Did you not watch him fight Calvin Kattar?
Yeah.
Did you not watch him put on a master class against Calvin Kattar? If Max Holloway wasn't in the division, the best boxer, best striker in the division would be considered Calvin Kattar. So did you not watch that fight? Is that it? Like, did you just forget that actually happened? Or are you just saying that because you love Max Holloway? Listen, I understand that. I love Max Holloway too. It doesn't pain me as much to say Arnold Allen's going to win this fight, because as you know, Monique, I picked Arnold Allen in our end wrap-up of the year show as my bold pick to be champion by the end of the year. Now, the end of the year will probably, end. The year will probably end before he actually gets a chance, so I'm a little pissed off at that. But Arnold Allen is an absolute stud. Arnold Allen can take you down. He can take the fight anywhere. Max Holloway has got to start putting combos together early in this fight, and early, and keep him away and keep him on the outside. The issue is, this is one of the rare fights where Max Holloway, I don't believe, has a huge reach advantage. I don't think he does. I'm checking right now. No, he actually is at a disadvantage,
Mm,
um, which is huge because Max Holloway relies on keeping you on the outside. That's
yeah.
what he is brilliant at. He's not going to be able to do it against Arnold Allen. And that's where he really struggled with Volkanovski, too, in their last fight. He couldn't keep Volkanovski on the outside. Um, I like he doesn't have the reach advantage, and Arnold Allen, if he gets in trouble, can shoot that takedown and get him on the ground.
Yeah.
So I listen. I'm not going to say Arnold Allen's going to walk over Max Holloway. That would make me an idiot.
Yeah.
This is going to be an absolute crazy fight. But one that I think Arnold Allen will shoot and shoot early. He's going to make Max respect his takedown offense. He has to. The other thing about Arnold Allen that no one gives him credit for, and I'll mention, we already mentioned it once in the fight, Monique, in the stream. Fight IQ, fight IQ, fight IQ. Arnold Allen is a smart fighter. He's not going to go out there and just swing with Max Holloway.
Yeah.
He's too smart for that. Now, will he stand up with him? Absolutely, because he's got really good stand up. Like I said, we saw against Calvin Kattar, which a lot of people will say, Kattar got hurt, the fight doesn't count. Arnold Allen hurt him. Like, it wasn't a non-contact injury. Arnold Allen hurt him by beating him up. Like, that's actually what happened. So,
Yeah.
I don't know where all this hate comes from for Arnold Allen. He's a very entertaining fighter. He's a fun guy. I think he really, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I think he beats Max Holloway. I think he makes this a decision. I think that we think this fight will be super exciting. Don't be surprised if it's actually boring, because I don't think Arnold Allen's going to just let Max Holloway throw 5-piece combos like Max did against Calvin Kattar. He's too smart of a fighter. He's not going to let him do that. He's going to he probably watched a lot of tape on Volkanovski fights.
Yeah.
And said, I can mimic what Volkanovski does. Arnold Allen is a stud. He hasn't had an easy fight since his first fight in the UFC. And I'll start wrapping it up with this. We're talking about a guy, he had his first fight in the UFC. I should step back a little bit, because his first couple of fights in the UFC were pretty easy. But when he stepped in talent, boy, did he step up. He went Gilbert Melendez, Nick Lentz, Sadiq Youssef, Dan Hooker, and Calvin Kattar. Like 5 fights in a row against tough fighters. And say what you will about Gilbert Melendez and Nick Lentz, they are still tough outs. Yes, they're not the best, and I will be the first to say that, but they will make you earn a victory. And that's why. And when he beat Sadiq Youssef, I mean, everybody in the world was shocked. Everyone. I don't care who you are, and I don't care how much you want to lie that you had Arnold Allen in that fight. As the biggest Arnold Allen fanboy there is, as the president of the fan club, I picked Sadiq Youssef. It didn't make any sense for me to pick Arnold Allen. Sadiq Youssef, at the time, was on his way to a championship. And Arnold Allen just puts on a master class. I think he gets this done.
Yeah, for sure. And shout outs to Perry Aston, who is the CEO of Unwrapped Sports, pretty much shutting us out. Thank you, Perry. And yes, Monique is going to the fights. I am going to UFC 289. So please, Dana White, MMA gods, put some more elite fighters on that card. It's going to be headlined by Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Could have put that as a headline, but we're not going to for time's sake. We might talk about that next week when we have a special guest on our show, but Anyways, point is that Monique is going to the fights, and I am super excited because it's going to be in Vancouver, Canada. Just like basically, if anyone does not know where that is, if you're from the States, it's like the California of Canada. That's exactly what Vancouver is. And so thank you, Perry Aston, for shutting that out. And I want to thank my co-host Alec Carr. Hopefully next week we'll have Dustin back, and maybe even CJ if he has time. That'd be great. We have a special guest who's a dear friend of mine. Her name is Lynn. She's going to talk about her MMA career, BJJ, as well as what's coming up for her tournament wise. So please tune in for that. And as always, we do have a fight card that weekend. We have Sergey Pavlovich versus, Blades. That's not the best card, but we're going to talk about it.
Well,
That's the reason why we have one of my friends going on the show and talking about her career thus far and pretty much her move. She wants to get into bare knuckle fighting. That's really where her bread and butter is. That's where she's eyeing right now. So just a little bit of a tidbit and a preview before our interview next week. And then obviously we're breaking down Pavlovich versus Blades. So just a little bit of a preview there. But thank you everybody for watching, and happy fight week, and we will see you all next week. Bye guys.